Welcome back to Money Talk. I'm Jesse Torres. And somewhere out there is Aaron Michael Sanchez.
I think I'm here.
Yeah, I think you're. I think all the luxury items there are making you a little distracted, Aaron.
They are. In fact, if you want to see just a few of them, I'm going to be on Instagram. You got to follow me, Aaron M. Sanchez, Twitter, Aaron M. Sanchez, Facebook, Aaron M. Sanchez. I'm going to be posting things from here. I'm going to tag you because you know what? You do that to me every week when you're in Vegas and you're in Florida. Now it's time. I'm going to do that to you.
Well, and it's great. I'm glad you're having fun. Last week I did have a great pleasure of speaking at a couple conferences. I was gone for 8 days. I went from Vegas to South Beach, back to Vegas. And I tell you, I tell you what, it sounds great and it looks great on paper, but I probably gained close to 5 pounds just from all the great eating. And, everyone wants to buy you drinks and fatten you up. And so I was more than happy to come back on Sunday and hit the gym because I did a horrible job of working out while I was out there. But I had a great time.
Now, here's what I want to ask you. What did your wife say?
I have a feeling she'll never admit to this, but I have a feeling deep down inside she kind of looks forward to those trips every now and then to get me the heck out of the house because,
she reminded me to come back a little plumper then.
I think sometimes I just have the habit of getting on her last nerve, and so I think when I have an opportunity to kind of get away for a week, I think she's not complaining. She can use the time, and like they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder, or something like that. And so it's nice. It was I think it was just the right amount of time, maybe a day or too long, but it was fun. I had a great time. So.
Awesome.
So, Aaron, we've got this great opportunity today. Every now and then we have a guest come on that has some groundbreaking news, and today is one of those days. We have entrepreneurs on the show every week, and one of the challenges that they always have, particularly those that have been in business for a while and are thinking of expanding, is where do I set up my business? How do I set up shop? What's the best place to set up? What state, what city, what neighborhood?
Right.
All these issues, and whether they're a warehouse, whether they're retail, whether they're, even online. I mean, we hear about these online businesses strategically setting up their shops so that they are equidistant to, all the cities, or at least strategically positioned within the United States so that they can hit all the cities within a day's time. And so on the phone today, we have the great pleasure of having Calandra Cruikshank, and she is the president and co-founder of Statebook International. Calandra, welcome to Money Talk.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, we are excited to have you. So, Calandra, I don't want to spoil it. You had some pretty groundbreaking news today. I mean, you kind of signed an amazing, for folks that are in the business of setting up shops. Let's say you inked a deal today with a pretty amazing partner. Can you sort of tell us about that and how and what it means to your company and what it means really to entrepreneurs everywhere?
Sure, I would be glad to do that. We, at Statebook.com, we just inked a deal with Select USA, which is the arm of the Federal Department of Commerce that works with companies overseas seeking to invest, locate in the United States. And they have 34 locations around the world, and they just are actively rolling Statebook out to help all of the businesses overseas determine exactly, as you said, where best to locate in the United States. Where is the best, most sustainable community for my business according to where is the best workforce and infrastructure, taxes, utility costs? Does it have a golf course or a NASCAR track or whatever the chairman is interested in? So all of the different kinds of data points that are of interest and really critical to making these kinds of long-lasting, important decisions that affect not only the businesses themselves, but also the communities that they move into because they bring jobs and investment to the community.
Yeah, and Aaron and I were talking about this. Uh, our radio station is located in a community called the Inland Empire, and so it's an area that the economy, the recession really took its toll upon, and in a sense, a lot of opportunity was lost, but really there's a lot of opportunity to be gained. And Aaron, why don't you share with Calandra and the listeners the conversation that we were having earlier today about San Bernardino?
Well, yeah, San Bernardino is known as being one of the first to actually be the first city to claim bankruptcy. And so with the new elections happening very soon, there's a lot of debate as to how they can get that renewed and how they could bring money back in and how they can build upon it. And I think it's a great template for them if they can bounce back out of it in as short a term as possible, that it'll be like a great template for any other city. But I have a feeling some of that is going to be based on the demographics, based on what you're able to pull out and where to put certain things based on where the business is at. I mean, what do you think about that? How would you implement that or have them implement that?
Well, so just to be clear, I think San Bernardino is a perfect example, actually. And to be clear, what Statebook does is we aggregate more than 20,000 data points from more than 50 different sources. So everything from demographics, as you mentioned, to, again, taxes, workforce, incentives, all kinds of different data we aggregate into one place, and it's the first time that that's ever been done. So we really are, Statebook is the first online marketplace for economic development and corporate site selection. And for a community like San Bernardino, it's very important for them to get to tell their story online, because more than 90% of site selection decisions are actually made online by companies and the site selection consultants that work with them before the economic development organizations whose job it is to promote communities to businesses to attract new jobs, before they ever contact those EDOs. And so for the EDOs, it's very important both to have their data all in one place online, and we have created the first standardized database all integrated into this very fancy GIS mapping platform. And then also to be able to have their community be compared apples to other communities. And then Statebook gives communities like San Bernardino a microsite on Statebook where not only have we aggregated all of their data, but we give them access to a content management system so that they actually can put up their own editorial content and photos and charts and graphs to have a voice in that conversation with the companies and site selectors before they even know they're being considered for a project. So that's all very important to those communities. And I think San Bernardino is a perfect example, because not only do they need a voice in that conversation, but Statebook also, to your point, having, struggled as the community, Statebook also gives them the opportunity to generate sustainable revenue through the advertising on their microsite on Statebook. So banks, utilities, law firms, engineering firms all want to advertise to get first a look at the companies that might be interested in locating there. So that's another, and we share 50% of the ad revenue with the economic development organizations from their microsites.
So
that's big.
Calandra, really what you've taken is the traditional GIS and sort of turned it almost into somewhat of a social network where these economic development agencies can put in information about the nuances. Back in the day, I'm going back maybe 15 years, maybe 20 years ago. I used to use a GIS program called Atlas GIS. I don't know if if it's even still around or if you're even familiar with it.
Yeah.
But I used to use GIS, and I remember back then thinking, I used to do this for banks to try and find branch locations, for example, and to map where they were making their loans and to map where they were getting their deposits. And I remember as I was going through that process so many times thinking, gosh, it would be really nice to add a little more color, a little more nuance to these communities to sort of find out a little bit more about them. Why are these little dots all clustered around these areas? Is there something attracting people to these particular areas. And it sounds to me like you've sort of crowdsourced in a way this whole GIS process to add more color, to add more of the nuance, to add more information, so that these folks that are deciding on where to set up sites can make better informed decisions.
That's exactly right. And I think there's a couple of things to consider there. So one is that there are approximately, the International Economic Development Council estimates that there are approximately 15,000 economic development organizations representing 3,200 counties across the United States. So there are a lot of economic development organizations kind of all fighting for attention from businesses that are seeking to relocate and expand, both nationally and internationally. And when you think about the barrage of data that's available online, accurate or otherwise, it's really important to have both a standardized database that with, sourced from sources that are very trusted and, independent third-party sources, and then give them the opportunity to tell their story and showcase their community. And Statebook kind of levels the playing field so that, a San Bernardino County that may be struggling through economic, to increase their economic growth can compete on a very level playing field because now they have access to the same data and to the same opportunity to showcase their region as a larger city like Los Angeles would. So I think it's important to note all of those things, and Statebook.com really brings that to the forefront and enables those communities to have a level playing field, which is important.
Now, I have a question. Of course, we're talking big cities. How does who we talk to a lot is the small business owner, how possible is it for them to be a part of this and get, to get the information needed for them to start up in the area that they need to be?
Well, Statebook kind of democratizes the data because nobody's ever aggregated this type of data all in one place the same way that we have. And we do charge subscriptions to access some parts of the data, but we have access for free. You can go on to statebook.com and register for free and then have access to all of our 20,000 plus data points in our GIS mapping system, which allows you to put in your specific parameters that you're interested in. So you might say, okay, I'm looking for a community of 250,000 people approximately, and I want to have 45 aerospace engineers graduating from that community, and I want to make sure I'm not paying any more than 6 cents per kilowatt hour for my electricity. And it instantly just filters down to the locations, the counties or metropolitan statistical areas that meet your needs, and then you can go in and learn more about all of the economic development organizations that represent those communities. All of that is free, and it's not until you want to go in and compare communities and create reports and use some of the more sophisticated tools that Statebook has built out that you have to pay anything. So we're really trying to really solve a need for the small and medium-sized companies that would never hire, a site selection consultant, but also, because they just can't afford it. But the site selection consultants will also never be replaced, and we built the tool for them specifically, but I think it's also very useful for the entrepreneur that would otherwise never have access to this data.
I have a question, Jesse. As a banker, and knowing banks, is this type of thing important to have as part of your business plan, going and looking for funding or getting funding from anybody?
Well, I think anytime it's a funny answer because I think, my CPA, my personal CPA, took a look at Statebook and he said, every time I do a business valuation, I use this kind of data. He said, I can't wait to get in there and buy a subscription and be able to create these reports. You just save me weeks of work because it can be done in minutes on Statebook. So I think anytime there's any kind of business that needs to raise money or needs to create their business case or, have a valuation, whatever it is, this kind of data, having access to it for the first time is really, really useful for them. And then on the flip side of that, banks want to advertise on Statebook because they want to help support economic development for their community, and they know that 50% of the ad spend goes back directly to the Economic Development Organization if they've joined Statebook as a member. And then they also get their products and services in front of companies that might be considering their community. So it's kind of a win-win-win.
You know, what I like about this and what I'm hearing, Calandra, is, you know, so when I used to do a lot of this demographic analysis and a lot of the GIS mapping, one of the things that frustrated me more than anything was that I had to rely heavily on census data. And, you know, depending on when the year that you're using this data, the data can be outdated anywhere from 3 years to 10 years, let's say, or longer. So it sounds to me like you're actually appending more current information, more current data from a bunch of different sources to sort of make it a little more relevant. Because, you know, let's take the last 7 years, 8 years. We've seen communities that 7 years ago were flourishing today are struggling because the economy took its toll. And so it seems to me that a tool like this one, like Statebook, can actually, you know, take that data and sort of bring it current so that people can make better informed decisions on where to invest those economic dollars, where to open up a new warehouse, where to, you know, set up a new targeted franchise community, whatever it might be. Is that right? I mean, am I reading you right? You have much more current information than what the census provides?
Well, the answer is yes and no. So the answer is that, you know, the census data is released when the census data is released, and depending on the size of the community, it's updated either annually or every 3 years or 5 years, et cetera. So the census data is a very important and will continue to be a very important component. But because once the Economic Development Organizations join Statebook as a member, then they get access to a content management system that lets them put up their own information and add context to that data. So if the most recent census data was released 2 years ago about their community, then they can put up the most recent available data. And we also are aggregating data that's never been aggregated at the local level before. So, for example, data like taxes and utility costs and incentives, all of which play incredibly big roles in making these decisions, are only aggregated at the state level right now. And so when the Economic Development Organizations join as members of Statebook, they can add their own local taxes and utility costs and incentive information and actually be searched by that going forward. So for the first time, they can be found for these important criteria that there is no other database out there that's providing that information.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what I think back to when I think about Statebook is here in Southern California recently, we had, not too long ago, we had the Nissan company, the automotive company. They relocated to Tennessee, and we've had others locate to Texas and places like that. And it seems to me, you know, and so we struggle. We in California, we struggle, and some folks believe that it's a policy issue. It's not a corporation friendly state, let's say. But even if that's the case, it seems to me that there are probably counties throughout the state that are probably a little more corporation friendly, let's say. And so it seems to me that this would be a great opportunity for those municipalities, for those counties, to sort of tell their story, to either retain the business and attract new business. And so, I mean, is that something that you think these municipalities, these counties would be able to do with Statebook?
Yes, that's exactly the right idea. And, you know, a lot of it, economic development conversations often hinge around, you know, attracting new business and creating new jobs and that kind of thing. But you're right, a lot of it is about business retention as well. Actually, the majority of it is about business retention. And I think also, you know, when states sort of steal companies from other states, a lot of that is related to where can I get the skilled workforce that I need, where can I get you know, what are the taxes and utility costs, et cetera. But then the end result of the conversation often comes down to, or the final negotiations often come down to incentives. And incentives, in 2012, there were a series of articles in the New York Times that estimated that the incentives being spent by states across the United States to lure businesses to their locations was $80 billion and growing rapidly. And, I think the nice thing is that the trend is moving in the right direction where investment is geared more toward, they're sort of wrapping incentives around workforce development and training and technical assistance with performance measures connected to the incentives being offered. And, it can make or break political careers and businesses, as you know. But I think that it is kind of moving in the right direction, and I think it's a really interesting opportunity for Statebook to play a role as the central marketplace, keeping track of some of those issues and also just really making sure that the data itself is transparent from location to location.
Right. So, Calandra, we've got maybe 2 minutes left. Let's kind of tilt this a little, just really quickly. From the entrepreneur, from the business owner, from the business perspective, how can they use Statebook?
Just log on to statebook.com and go in and search for different opportunities and business parameters that you need for your own personal business to be successful, whether it's the sustainable workforce or skills training, or if there's a specific supply chain that you need or want to be part of, that kind of thing. It's very easy and elegant to use, and I think, again, we're trying to democratize the data and make a tool that's useful for everybody, companies large and small. So
if someone needs to get more information, if they need some technical assistance, maybe in terms of what all they can gain access to, where do they go?
Statebook.com, and there's an About Us tab, and we're happy to answer any questions, and they can certainly email me directly if they can figure out how to spell my name, which is Calandra@statebook.com.
Calandra with
It's Calandra. Calandra.
I would not have gotten the email to you. You would have missed it entirely.
You got to keep people on their toes,
Well, Calandra, I mean, this sounds like an amazing tool. It seems like it'll make the lives of a lot of these site selection folks so much easier. Like I said, I many years ago was responsible for identifying branch locations for a fairly large financial institution, and the data points that we considered were pretty substantial, but like I said, it was always a challenge in the end to get good data. And so I like how you're taking this and you're in a sense crowdsourcing it out to these economic development organizations. So Calandra Cruikshank, President, co-founder, Statebook International, thank you for joining us on Money Talk this afternoon.
Thank you so much.